Explosive memos reveal Biden let Kamala handle pardons while an Autopen signed in his place. Was the president even there? Blaze News The Mandate starts right now. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Jill Savage, joined by Editor-in-Chief Matthew Peterson.
You are joined by me.
Yeah. I am, as we usually are. And Blaze, DC Politics Editor Chris Bedford is also here. Chris, it's good to see you. I woke up this morning and I went downstairs at the hotel. We've been at NatCon all week. It's been great. But we had, Friday, rounding out the week. And I went down to order my coffee and I tried to say words and very few words came out. So I have a little bit of a voice left that we're going to power through this next hour. I'm going to try to not stumble into the weekend, but
don't worry, I talk a lot.
It's going to be good. We're going to rely on that today. How's your week been?
Pretty good. There's been a lot going on. There's a lot of meetings last night into the wee hours maybe, and also this morning. So it's interesting. It's not just NatCon, it's seeing what interesting people are doing. And there are actually interesting people all over this place now. And, you kind of get a sense of where things are going. And I'll just say it's pretty positive for the most part. The usual suspects are up to the usual crap, but there's a lot of good people doing interesting stuff here that some of which we can talk about, some of which we can't. But today is DJF Friday because we've all had a long week. I don't know about you all out there. And this is going to be fun.
Well,
thank God Chris can talk a lot.
The usual suspects for this show definitely include the Biden Autopen. That is one of the favorite topics around here. And there's more that is coming out with this because back in June, President Trump ordered the White House to go, let's look into all the top officials and see what's going on about Joe Biden and his mental fitness. And he wanted to make sure that the investigators really zoomed in on the use of the Autopen. And this investigation now is going through and we're looking now at exactly what is going on. So, of course, we know, right? Biden, not all there mentally, has 5 different signatures for the Autopen. Our friends over at the Oversight Project, Mike Howell comes on a lot. They went through and just started printing out all of the signatures from the Autopen, and they started laying them in 5 different piles on their desks. And they're like, wait a minute, we have something here. Well, now it looks like when you go through, you can see that, wait, is this going to be Kamala Harris? Is she the one that's actually behind all of this? So there are so many different things that we have to look at. But when it all comes down to it, we still haven't gotten to the bottom of this.
Yeah. So say more about the Harris thing. I mean, this is something that not everyone knows about.
Well, when
Kamala is actually behind, she was a faction behind the different parts that it's kind of like one of those old 80s cartoons where all the different pieces come together and they form like the big.
Well, it's strange. He outsourced the authority to Kamala Harris and said that the vice president's authority suffices, which is not true. It's not constitutional. His office recommended to him, as Jill just mentioned, that anything that actually specifically requires a presidential action, not an action by the executive, is something that he ought to be signing himself by hand. And it cannot be outsourced. And he ignored that. And the precedent that they cited was every president. Every single president. And he just ignored it. And Kamala Harris, it's not like she was in the inner circle. There's no real idea that she was actually the ringleader of this. It was just he was unfit to be president by this time.
Everyone had a piece.
Everyone had to have a piece, and it was basically asking someone it's like telling your wife, "Can you load the car? I've got a broken leg. I can't pack the car." It's not the ideal. It's not like it's a lot of different work, and he just decided that she was going to be able to do it for him, and it's coming out more and more and more. We now have the lawyer's advice, we have the office's advice, we have the memos, we have the emails, that everyone around the president knew this was wrong and told him so repeatedly, knew that they were doing something that was probably over the line, beyond the pale, as they say, that this was something that could be legally challenged, because that's the only reason that they would worry, is that it could actually be undermined later. So during this time, there's 4 meetings that are held, I think, to
in
brief
December
the president.
into January. Yeah.
And there's no indication he attended a single one of them. So you go through who was getting pardoned at this time. The now senator from California, Adam Schiff, the entire J6 community, the Biden crime family. Sorry, the boomer term. The Biden crime family and the Democrats.
The demon rats in the Biden crime family.
The Fauci. These are the people who are being pardoned at this time preemptively for things that, we didn't commit any crimes, but for those crimes that we did commit, you could not prosecute us. It's like little kids saying, nose game, we're safe.
Yeah, exactly.
But then Trump comes in like the older brother who ignores it and still gives you a little punch to the arm. And this stuff is going to have to be tested, because the most valuable evidence in any kind of a case is contemporaneous evidence. It's stuff that happened in the time. So you can say all you want on the stand, he didn't do it, it was somebody in a red suit. But if you have a text message or an email or some recording of you having said that at the time, it matters so much more. All of this is stacking up. The problem they're going to have is where they're going to be able to try this, where they're going to be able to test this. Because if they try to test it in Washington, D.C., Joe Biden could have killed someone on Independence Avenue, and and a grand jury would not indict him. It's kind of shocking what we've been seeing out of D.C. So they're going to have to find out the trial case, as we've talked about, where they just bring charges against someone who's very guilty and test this pardon idea. And all of this stuff that's coming out right now is going to be in the pile of evidence. And by the way, I don't know, we could probably pull up a picture of this, but the president talking about how in the Rose Garden, or the Rose Garden Club, he's going to put as Joe Biden's portrait a picture of the Autopen, is just perfect.
Well, and Joe Biden, we remember we covered that this summer, right? It was July, I believe, that he went out and had that 10-minute interview with the New York Times. So it must have been a good day for Joe. They probably, propped him up on whatever they needed to do the injections with. And he's like, okay, we're mentally clear today. Now you can talk to the New York Times.
Dr. Hunter took care of him.
Yeah. They had a lot going on that day, I'm sure. But he was adamant that every decision that he made, I made every single one of those decisions. I was mentally with it. I could go through. You guys, we know how this works now, right? Joe Biden is going to a very friendly New York Times who will write everything that he is going to tell them, and they will use that as the evidence for what will be, what is going to be challenged later.
The thing about Joe Biden is, right, he's just a bad guy. I mean, remember, he's a very petty, bad guy. This is a family that couldn't make the tens of millions that the Obamas did, and were taking small change relatively from China and other places. You know what I mean? It's like small time petty. So the Autopen scandal is one of those things that it's not even like a grand conspiracy. It's just sort of pathetic and stupid, and
and potentially
deadly
with no actual veracity. I mean, Joe Biden pardoned over 4,000 people in his 4 years. Most of them after the Democrats lost the election.
Yeah, exactly.
That's more than FDR did in 12 years. I think that's more than Obama did in 8 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's certainly more than Donald Trump did. No one's above the law except for everyone I know.
Yes. And that's what I mean. It's like small time crook by comparison. But that's why it's the pettiness is what makes it so bad. And so, he's historic numbers of pardons for cronies, and the whole thing is pathetic. But I mean,
and whole classes of crime.
The one important thing here is that Donald Trump, the president himself, is adamant about the Autopen thing, as you point out. Like, that hilarious wants to do the picture. So because Trump is on it, there's a good chance that DOJ, I think because that's why they're moving forward. And there's a good chance they do test this out, and there's a good chance that maybe something actually happens. And Howell and the oversight people have prepared a path there and been encouraging it. But the president, Donald Trump, knows that this is a winning issue and wants to pursue it. And as long as he keeps pushing, there's a chance that, some justice might actually occur. I don't know.
Well, and that it's almost kind of concerning the way that we talk about what Donald Trump is pushing, because we see it with Steve Baker and the J6 News Select Subcommittee, right? And Donald Trump had been pushing for that for months, and things are just slow going. Chris, it's your town. It's a slow moving process, but even though the president can come out and say something, that doesn't mean that we're going to see something happen within the next few months. These things take a long time in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, and if to match point too, the fact that he's on it and is saying on it is excellent, because one of the big mistakes of his first term was sending out tweets and thinking that those, or even just executive orders, and thinking that meant it was going to happen. And his cabinet secretaries would just say, okay, and that was it. There'd be no follow-up. There'd be no anything. Things do take time. I mean, just look at these last couple of weeks for RFK, who we'll get to in a later segment, how after 3 months in office, people are like, why haven't you solved autism? Now, hold on a second, guys. There's a lot to do. And that's honestly taking your time and lining up your sights before you squeeze that trigger is essential, because you don't get that many shots. You cannot be sloppy. These guys are professionals. Despite the fact that the president at the end, over the advice of everyone around him, was incredibly sloppy and all of this, just drooling, and he's spilling the milk out of his cereal. The Democrats are not sloppy. The town is on their side. Everyone, even the Republicans who live here, a lot of them are on the Democrat side. We saw that from Mitch McConnell yesterday in his latest tweets, that the country under Donald Trump is the biggest threat we've had since the 1930s. The darkness of the storm. The Republicans are on the Democrat side, and which they'll say it's just norms, but the norm for them is losing and getting beaten and not holding anyone accountable. That's the norm that they're defending. And the Democrats, of course, and wow, look at this.
They knew. They're coming after you.
Maybe I should turn off my alarms before we film. Should I do that?
It's a good idea. But Chris, the uniparty, they're going to uniparty. That is what's happening here in this town. They don't care. It's just a way of life, and the loser mindset has infiltrated the Republicans' heads, and they have to come through and have Donald Trump actually literally just go through and come in like a bull in a china shop. And that's the way that things are actually going to change here in Washington, D.C. But when we come back, let's go ahead and talk about RFK Jr., because that was the talk of the town yesterday here. And I know everybody across the country, they were all online talking about, wow, look at this. This is something that we've needed to happen for so long. RFK Jr. speaking the truth next. Well, I want to take a moment to thank you for watching and listening to this show. It's because of people like you that we're able to keep producing content like this. But BlazeTV exists because people like you refuse to settle for all the watered down coverage and endless spin that you see everywhere else. But this has never been about one voice or one company. It's about a movement of people who refuse to sit on the sidelines and are willing to take a stand. This is why BlazeTV matters. When you subscribe, you're standing shoulder to shoulder with a community that believes that America is worth fighting for. And Blaze Media only exists because people like you step up and join us and help drive this mission forward. So when you subscribe, you're not just supporting a show, you're making your voice count and ensuring that the truth has a platform today and for the next generation. So join us with blazetv.com/BNT. Get $20 off right now, and you can get plans for as low as $8 a month with the annual plan. So you can start shaping the future. Go to blazetv.com/BNT. Well, it was RFK Jr. versus the entire U.S. Senate, basically. Yesterday, the Republicans, the Democrats, it didn't matter which side you were on. Everyone was against RFK Jr., and he was out there dropping truth bombs. The real Americans are on his side. In Bedford, it was one of those things where it's like, man, we've been waiting for decades for somebody to actually just get up there and say these things to their faces. And RFK Jr. delivered. It
was perfect. I mean, they were going after him. They had all this outrage, and he said what we've been muttering at the TV for years. He kind of loud muttered it, speaking of losing voices. But RFK, I mean, one of my favorites is when he went at Ron Wyden. Play that clip.
And my last comment is, I hope that you will tell the American people how many preventable child deaths are an acceptable sacrifice for enacting an agenda that I think is fundamentally cruel and defies common sense. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do I get a reply? Or, Senator, you've sat in that chair for how long? 20, 25 years, while the chronic disease in our children went up to 76%. And you said nothing. You never asked the question why it's happening. Why is this happening? Today, for the first time in 20 years, we learned that infant mortality has increased in our country. It's not because I came in here. It's because of what happened during the Biden administration that we're going to end.
That's insane. He's been here for 20, 25 years. I should pull it up. He was just guessing. Like, how long have you been here? You walking corpse of a human being. Yeah. Meanwhile, Americans are too fat to go into the military. All around us, everywhere you go. I was just at the water park, by the way, down in God's country, out north of Richmond. I thought to myself, my wife was looking around and saying, look at all these people. Everyone just wants to have a good time. Everyone just wants to take their kids to the water park. This is great. And I was thinking, thank God for our military technology, because we cannot repel an invasion. We are soft. We are weak. These guys, the amount of kids here getting winded, going up to get on the slide. Yeah. I can't believe it. Yeah. And that is the material. We are getting sicker. Our mortality rates are rising. People are dying in childbirth. People are the rate that we live, the age that we live to is declining on a national average. The Republicans and Democrats are uniting to make sure previously that the sugar lobby gets their cuts of the food stamps. We live in a country where Walmart's replaced the town center, imports crap from China, gives people part-time jobs without benefits, lobbies on behalf of food stamps and other different benefits for their employees and for their customers, and then tells them, don't worry, this is great. You can buy this crap for cheap. Yeah, there's no more job. There's no more town center. There's no more middle class, but cheap plastic. And this is the sort of stuff that RFK is going at. He's saying, you've been here for over 20 years, Wyden. This country has gotten progressively sicker. And this is the first time I've seen you outraged. And you're outraged at me? Or how about when he was going at people saying, hey, guys, what do you mean Biden politicized the data around COVID? I mean, these are the same people that kept my brother from the delivery room when his baby was born. They kept people from being able to go to funerals. They kept people from being able to, they kept husbands and wives who were both dying at the same time in their older years in the same hospital from seeing each other to possibly spread COVID. And at the same time, they were saying, but if you're protesting for Lloyd George, you can just pack into a place. You can't go to church. You can go to liberal church. You can go to outside. You can go to these protests. You can go to these demonstrations, but you can't go to actual church. You can go to the casino. I mean, I lived in D.C. where people were calling in and reporting on our parish priest for meeting with people and having secret masses as if he wasn't a frontline worker. Yeah. Meanwhile, they're out there holding memorials. Oh, our brave frontline workers. Well, priests are among them. I mean, the absolute unbelievableness of this science that they pushed, the monkeypox embarrassment. Where, by the way, everyone was talking about monkeypox is the next thing. All these guys, no one was outraged about that. And then everyone stopped talking about it.
Finally fired that dude.
Finally fired him, the orgy guy with literally a pentagram gay outfit and the cover of a magazine. Like satanic, straight up. Gay Satanists in charge of this sort of thing. And everyone stopped talking about monkeypox when it started going to kids because everyone knew there's no way for a child to get that without serious molestation. And people, oh my gosh, now we can't talk about it. The idea that RFK is politicizing this by firing people, by holding people accountable, by saying, all right, they're all saying the studies have been done. If the studies have been done, do them again. Okay? Do it. Run those numbers again, because the whole point of science is nothing is settled until you can repeat the experiment over and over again with different people in the room and get the exact same result. Then you can start to say, okay, that's actually pretty settled right there. And that's not what they're doing. They're so unwilling to do it that they don't even want their homework checked. He's the first person asking questions. And we can get into it later because I'm talking forever. I know I'm like the only one who's used to 4 hours of sleep. Me and Matt are used to 4 hours of sleep a night. But they need this is waking the American people up, and this is why the Senate is so freaked out about it.
Good luck to our YouTube numbers after the Bedford rant. I love it. YouTube will not, however.
Well, it was interesting.
Did they click out of me? Did I go too long?
Very eloquent rant. It was very good. But my favorite part was maybe a mistake was when you called George Floyd Lloyd George.
Oh, one of my favorite things to do.
And
is
Lloyd George is someone who, if you know, you know. But
Yeah.
but George Floyd, yes, of blessed memory. I think that
the venerable
was interesting. Even the thing I was hearing last night from people who were very friendly to RFK was not worry. I mean, they were all on our team. This were people we were talking to, but it was like the kind of well, that was an attack, right? And I think that was a win, right? I mean, I think most people in the audience are sick and tired of the senators, and they thought this was some kind of trap, right? And they were going to go have it on RFK, but I don't think that's winning anyone over. And RFK is insanely popular all across the world. More popular than people realize, I think.
Well, and I love this post from JD Vance on X. When I see all these senators trying to lecture and gotcha Bobby Kennedy today, all I think is you support off-label, untested, irreversible hormone therapies for children, mutilating our kids and enriching Big Pharma. You're full of beep, and everybody knows it. It's so refreshing to see the Vice President of the United States come out and just say, plain English, everybody's going to understand this BS.
Yeah, and I mean, here's why it's winning, because as Chris points out, we know that these corporations and people really didn't care about the physical bodies of Americans, right? And what's the basic thing that government's supposed to do? The most basic thing is keep you safe. How? Like keep your body safe from violence, right? Or disease, sickness. People come together in communities and fight these things. They try to stay alive. And the most basic necessity, physical safety, is something that government's failed at, and in fact wants to poison people, and and doesn't care if their bodies become corpulent, obese, and they start dying of diseases. In fact, they're going to subsidize that along with corporations. So you're on very, very solid ground if you're RFK, no matter what you think of him. If you just show that you actually care about people. And it really is that basic. I mean, it sounds stupid, but I remember Tucker rising early on because he would point this out. You actually do have to care about people, and people in National Review would be like, "No, political leaders don't need to actually care about people. It's about having the right policy." Like, no,
but they don't talk like that.
Political leaders care about people. but it is.
Did this just turn into a South Park episode? I don't know.
I thought you were going to sing a song about the water park. So I think we can't discount the fact that at the very basic level of all of this, besides all the policy, is just RFK showing he actually cares about people's health, and that's revolutionary.
And here's what's freaky about it to them is they can undo most things, because the White House has led a lot of these actions that have changed the country and woken people up. They have proven what every politician for decades has lied about, that the border actually can be sealed. That people actually can be deported. The crime actually can be stopped. I remember a guy who lives in D.C. yelling at my wife on one of the Sunday shows saying, "What's your solution?" The solution to crime is punishment. I'm sorry to tell you that. You've obviously been overeducated if you've forgotten that. Yes. What is the National Guard doing? They're a deterrent. Yeah. Deterrence is another really key thing to crime. But you can't undo what RFK has been doing with President Trump's backing. An example, like my household. My stepson, 9 years old, born when just shortly before the president won election, and for the first time, he got all of the vaccines. My now wife didn't even think about it. She just, of course, the doctors are here. We trust them. Hepatitis B in the hospital room? Yeah, safety is important. Why would he need a hepatitis B shot? You tested the mother, which is the only way he would have contracted that disease, which is largely confined to needle-using drug addicts and prostitutes. You tested the mother, but I guess you're going to give him this jab anyways. You're not even going to tell about the possible side effects. She just did it. This last time, when we just had our daughter, there's not a single vaccine that she wasn't questioning, that she wasn't reading about, that she didn't have a book that we got on it, that she didn't have a different schedule. And she's one of many people. All over the country, people are starting to look at, and this is one of the great things about COVID, it woke everyone up to all the lies. And they're saying, What are you teaching in my kid's classroom? I just dropped him off at school and thought it'd be normal. What are you putting in my baby's body? I just assumed that you're doctors, so it's safe. What are you telling me is necessary? What science is settled? Oh, you've ruined that train.
Yeah, in one of my Ubers, driving around town yesterday after RFK went out and, gave this piece de resistance here to the U.S. Senate, it was like NPR playing, and they were talking about the vaccines and the public health safety, and, oh, you can say that you don't want to do this for yourself, but you really have to be concerned about everybody else around you, right? And RFK Jr., he would go out there and he would say the measles vaccine is the reason why, we don't have measles everywhere anymore. He said that himself, but now he's saying, oh, watch out for these nasty vaccines. And it's just like they're trying to go through and still say, you know what, your freedom, it's not your choice. It's our choice. It's everybody else's around you. And I just thought, like, driving around town, listening to this liberal guy in the Uber was just very poetic after what had happened yesterday.
I mean, this is another central core of it is that the fact that these people think this kind of tyranny is okay, and they're so flippant about it. Like, no, we're going to again control your physical body. The left likes to say that with abortion and everything else. But this is actually, we're going to force you to put things in your body, and that's okay. Of course, it's normal.
Oh, the biggest lie in the world is the recommendations. It's just a recommendation that you'll be kicked out of school over. That a Massachusetts family was arrested moving to Texas. I think they were trying to do because they refused some of the vaccines for their children.
Mm-hmm.
Arrested.
Yeah.
Charged with child endangerment.
This is, so both health
recommendations,
health, medicine, and education is like this, right? I mean, if these people had their way, they would absolutely control the family. They would actually control the children.
It takes a village.
They'd pump them with shots that they think, are great. The sexual mutilation, is another interesting part of the cult. But also when it comes to indoctrination, it's the same thing, right? You're putting something into the mind of people, and you're sort of forcing them to be re-educated. But I guess what I'm saying is, if you strip this all down to the physical part of it, if you're willing to allow people to force you, right, to inject yourself with stuff, through your skin into your body, like what else is there? You're going to let them do everything else. And it's a sad.
You're going to use their pronouns. You're going to acknowledge their reality.
Yeah.
You're going to inject your children. You're going to either go to their schools and learn that crap, or you're going to have to pay out of pocket, and they won't get any tax benefits for it to send your kids elsewhere. I have to drive 45 minutes to get to my pediatrician. Right. To find a pediatrician who won't demand these things. Mm-hmm. She recommends them. She does. She says, right. Well,
right.
There's a lot of misinformation out there. And it's like, yeah, I know. That's why I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
It feels like my voice, somebody had slipped me testosterone yesterday. I'm not starting a transition. It's not happening. But one of the conversations, Matt, that we had early on in the Trump administration, Steve Deace was in studio with us, and we were talking about RFK Jr. and the potential that he has to be one of the biggest impacts of the entire second Trump administration. And we look at this now, and he is actually producing results right now. And the fact that he is not scared to go up against literally anyone right now that we have been seeing, the domino effects from that, where if it's not just Trump that has to stand up, right? If it's JD Vance that is putting these things out on X, if it's RFK Jr. that is standing in front of the Senate and saying, you guys are all wrong, there is more confidence to be had, and people will follow that kind of leadership.
Yeah, I don't think courage is contagious, but I do think that courage provides like a wake behind it, and it becomes easier for people to follow, like you said. So I think what we're seeing is people who they really don't care. They are standing up to the powers that be, and then that makes it easier for everyone else to sort of follow along and say the thing that they actually think, or act on the instinct that they actually have that they suppress because they're afraid of these authorities. But, we live in an age where people don't trust the authorities. And then this is the outright denial. And it's more than that, because what RFK was doing was actually accusing them, as you said, of wrongdoing. And that's really important stuff, because it allows people to act in accordance with how they actually think reality looks.
And you know what else I've never heard from these guys who are furious that RFK is looking at the causes of autism and its exploding rates across the country, where every one of us either has autistic people in their family or their friends or their neighbors or having children with severe developmental disorders.
Or their employees.
Well, I hire those people. They make the best right-wing reporters.
A lot of them at the conference this week.
Sure. Everybody who works for the Blaze, get your flu shots.
We weaponize autism on the daily.
He's the first person to look for it. So these people have no ground to stand on. Why was no one saying, why are we so much fatter? Why are we so much unhealthier? Why is autism exploding? They're just angry at the first person to do it and why? Maybe they won't like where he goes. He called out Liz Warren, who pretends to be the champion of the people. Her whole thing was supposed to be populist leftism. It's certainly not. Taking over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars from pharmaceutical companies and going after RFK for doing what she always said that she wanted to do, but didn't.
Right.
They've been here forever. There's no one more full of it, like JD Vance said, than a U.S. politician who's been here for decades, pretending that they are the fighter, because they're not, or it wouldn't be a problem.
All right, I have jeans on. You have jeans on. I don't know if you do or not, but
No.
it's Casual Friday around here. So we've been talking about RFK Jr. Let's go ahead and bring in Pete Hegseth when we come back. The Pete and Bobby Health Challenge. There's a lot going on. Maybe we'll go around, do a couple push-ups, a couple pull-ups, and then come back and talk about the latest with the Department of Defense, RIP, the new name change when we come back. You know, we spend a lot of time over here talking about the culture and politics, all the battles, noise, craziness. There's so much going on in everybody's life. But if you're looking for something different and you're a woman listening right now, or there's a woman in your life that you care about, listen up. We have Share the Arrows. It's happening October 11th in Dallas, and it's hosted by BlazeTV's own Allie Beth Stuckey. It's her second one. It was great last year. It's going to be even better this year. And it's designed to encourage and equip and just to speak the truth to all the women in your life who are trying to stand firm in this world. It's going to be a full day of worship and teaching. It's going to be from the best of the best, an incredible experience. So if you're a woman that has been craving encouragement and biblical truth, this is for you. So if you're a husband or a dad or a brother maybe listening, and you think that you have a wife, daughter, or sister who needs this, well, go ahead, sign her up right now, because in a culture that's constantly pulling us in the wrong direction, this is a chance to stop and reset and get grounded in biblical truth. You can find all the details and ticket info at sharethearrows.com. That's sharethearrows.com. Does the Pentagon and the Department of Defense convey a passive stance? Donald Trump believes that it does, and today he will be signing an executive order reintroducing the title of Department of War. Gentlemen, no longer just the Pentagon, it's going to be the Department of War. Things are changing because you can just do things.
So this is one of those things that sounds like, oh, just a name change, but this is important. There were a lot of intelligent people coming up. I think Angela Codevilla being one of them, and many others who are involved in rethinking foreign policy. Yeah, and everyone, a bunch of these old guys used to say this: Department of War made sense. That was your business. It was actual war. You're preparing for war, and you're ready for war. And it was much smaller then. Whereas defense implies something that's much larger, and is not as accurate.
Which is why the swamp creatures would love it, because it encompasses everything. The Department of Defense, we have to defend.
Yeah, they don't vote for wars either. They don't like to vote for wars. They like to not vote for defense. They like to go off of the authorization of military force in pursuit of terrorism that was passed decades ago. I think it's old enough to drink by now. That's what they like to deal with. That's what they want to go with, and they don't like this sort of thing. And you think, I guess the change was made in 1949.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't win Korea. We didn't win Vietnam.
Exactly.
Since
we changed it to defense,
we won Desert Storm.
Losing.
And that's what Donald Trump said. He said, as the Department of War, we won stuff, right? Like there was an actual way of being. You don't just defend.
Yeah, you understood what it was.
Wars.
You need the people to understand what they're involved with, because democracies don't have a huge amount of tolerance for war in the first place. Mm-hmm. We haven't really won anything since cameras were invented, readily made, and the realities of war have been able to be beamed into people's televisions to interrupt their morning breakfasts, to come on when they turn it on at night. We haven't. The will is even lower down because people don't like to see that sort of stuff. That's why you have to go through such serious, grueling training to remake you before you're even able to go into war. And even then, the psychological impact and damage is extreme. The changing this is important. Of course, it's just a note change now. Like Pete Hegseth can start calling himself the Secretary of War. They can start issuing things like that. But it's going to take Congress. And this is, I kind of wonder where the Democrats are going to fall on this, because I think the American people don't like war. It's one of the reasons they elected Donald Trump and liked him. They don't want anymore. They're sick of it. They're so sick of Middle Eastern wars that they're like, Israel, figure it out, because we don't even want to deal with you anymore. We're done with war over there. This is going to be a harder one because Republicans aren't going to want to change the name. Some of them will, but few of them. Democrats aren't going to give anything to Donald Trump, but who wants to relitigate the last 70 years of losing wars either? I don't think they're going to want to defend that. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes and how long it lasts. But I think the next Democratic president will probably change the name to Department of Peace.
That would be that. Yeah, that's stand to reason. That's the Orwellian impulse post World War II. I think you're right. And it's more than a symbol. It's more than a symbol. There's a lot hanging on what you call this department. And I was reminded of this. You said war. You used war the entire time to talk about the last 70 years of conflict. But as you point out, Congress doesn't like to call it war because they don't want to be on the hook for it. They don't want to actually have to vote for it.
Was World War II the last time we declared war?
Yeah. I mean, this has been an ongoing problem. There's a lot. That's a complicated issue. Whether you declare war, it's not quite as simple as as saying any conflict is a war. I think there's some justification to the game we've been playing. But I tell you this: last week, I happened to be in Israel, and just happened to be there, hanging out. But what was interesting is everyone there,
wearing a wire,
left and right, they got to me. Everyone there, left and right, all said explicitly, well, we're at war. We're at war, right? And if you think about that in comparison to what we've done in the last 70 years, what's going on in Gaza is nothing, right? Compared to the kind of conflicts we've been engaged in. And we refuse to call it war. And there was something refreshing about, okay, you can agree or disagree with what they're doing, but they know that they're at war.
Yeah.
And that's something where you psyop the American people when you say, no, we're not really at war. And we were kind of, sort of, not really, right?
George Bush said, go shopping. Go shopping if you want to be patriotic.
Exactly.
I've got the Betty Crocker Wartime Edition cookbook that's on my shelf. That's got a foreword by General Douglas MacArthur with his portrait next to it. And it's how to cook in a time where we are rationing and you're using your home gardens. And that's how war, and it's such a war footing that the country was at the time. But more and more and more, we've outsourced war to defense contractors, to black, what do they call themselves? They keep on changing the name. The big defense contracting, Blackwater, whatever they call themselves now. Or a very small percentage of our country who is both fit enough and patriotic enough and committed enough to actually be willing to fight those wars. And a lot of people don't even know they're going on. One of the weirdest things I've come across in the Pentagon, I was talking to a friend. He was a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for low-intensity conflict. That means special operators kicking in doors in countries we're not in war.
Yeah.
The Assistant Undersecretary Defense, low intensity. It's some of the most intense stuff you've ever heard of.
Right.
That's the kind of thing that they try to do, and that's the hiding that they do.
And that's where you say, who's responsible for that, right? So this system is so big. Is that something the president, really knows about? I mean, ultimately, how many people are conducting and ordering violence, right, throughout the world within this monstrous bureaucracy that we've erected? That's a real serious question. That's a real serious question, and it goes to the heart of who we are. So, I mean, Department of War, yes. The more we can be explicit about reality, the better. But there's a lot more that needs to be reformed at the DoD. Name, right?
They've failed 7 audits in a row. There's a lot going on there. But when we see what Donald Trump and this administration has come in and done, they've rejected all the woke culture, all the DEI mandates that are going through. Donald Trump calls this the warrior ethos. And it's the recruiting numbers are back up. We see this. It's like, no, you know what? America is not just going to sit down and be these little soy boys all over the country anymore. Like, you can actually go through and have warriors like the 16 and 17-year-old boys in middle America that would just be like in their backyard, like, trying to get the squirrels or whatever. Like, we need those people to eventually turn into people that want to help and protect this country.
And we need RFK to get the estrogen and birth control out of the water supply, because I'm telling you what, go to a water park. Whoa, boy. It's a lot of boobs on boys. A lot of boobies.
Happy Friday.
I'm scarred. I don't know if you can tell.
I can't tell.
Today on the mandate, boobs. Too many of them.
Man boobs.
There is no good way to segue out of that. Chris Bedford is just taking us down a rabbit hole that I do not want to go down. So we're going to go back to the Secretary of War. I'm going to declare war on the two of you in a moment here. But Pete Hegseth, that's cool. Yeah, this is it. This is the line right here. The Department of War, the Department of Defense. You must defend yourselves against whatever is going to come out of Bedford's mouth next. Is it more than just the strategic messaging, though? If we look at this, one, whether it goes through or not, this is probably, Donald Trump is going to think this is cool, but as we talked about earlier, the Autopen is one of the things that he actually believes in, and he's going to keep pushing. If this one fails, is this going to just be like, oh, I would like to rename all of these things, but if it doesn't happen, we can move on?
Yeah, it's not like they have a 30-day timer that they can use whatever name they want. He can call himself the Secretary of War. One of the first things I learned in DC was that titles are free, and so happily give them out to people. I've had some bosses that would change your title and call that a raise. Pretty wild, but you're able to get away with the 22-year-olds. But
I'm not saying I haven't done it.
I just think that they're not likely to make it permanent.
I think it's kind of a proxy for, like, can you control the whole thing? It's interesting. It could go either way, whatever. But if you can't even change the name, how do you think you're going to audit the thing? No one knows where this money goes.
Oh, you can't.
This is out of control, tyrannical, government in an oligarchic system that no one can. This is what people need to realize. Like, no one can control it. No one knows where the money goes.
The Senate
there are people fighting wars that you're not in charge of as a citizen, and the president of the United States isn't in charge. That's what's going on here. So
Matt Peterson's next book, No One Knows Where the Money Goes, a memoir.
That's like Washington, my whole life.
DC.
It's everywhere. This is how it's really what corruption is you can't see. There's a flow of money, and it's flowing like a river, and I need to get some of it, right? And the way you do that is you make sure no one sees where it goes, and that's life. But that's what I think that Donald Trump was elected to change.
Yeah, this is an unpopular take, but Joe Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan was one of his, I think, signature accomplishments, if handled extremely poorly. Mm-hmm. Because President Barack Obama had promised to do it. That's what he ran on. Mm-hmm. And the generals wouldn't let him.
Yes.
And then President Trump promised to do it, and the generals talked him out of it. Mm-hmm. And then Joe Biden was too lost, and then he was like, oh, just take him home. That's it. Start it now. And then he was sabotaged.
You got to ask yourself, why did the generals do that? Why would U.S. Army, leaders talk presidents from multiple parties off the ledge of getting our troops the hell out of Afghanistan, where it's always been this way for millennia, right? No one's really going to take it over. It's a complicated place, lots of tribes. Why were they doing that? I don't think the reason is good, and it certainly wasn't national security.
It was not. It wasn't defense.
No, it was not defense.
No.
I will do my best from having war break out here in the studio, and we'll mercifully somehow come back and wrap the show up right after this. It has been a fun week here at NatCon. Things have wrapped up. People are going home, but it was a great week. Got to see a lot of the friends, and Matthew Peterson crushed it on his panel yesterday. Nobody is surprised.
It's true.
He did.
True. One last time, crushing it.
Once more into the breach.
It was a good panel. It was a good panel of people talking about conservative media and what needs to happen there. And my point was very simple. We were the dissenters. We were the vanguard, saying things that the rest of the right wouldn't allow you to say. But that was 5 years ago now, and that's an eternity in politics. And at this point, we need to become the winners. And what does that look like? That's not destroying the New York Times or CNN. That's how do we replace them, actually. And that's a whole different ballgame. That's an incredibly difficult thing to do, whether you're talking about nonprofits or businesses. And so, the next step has to be to think big in the golden age to actually create, replacements for mainstream media. So, will the right do that? We're living the question, right? We're doing it right now. But this is really important stuff. And in general, I'd say about NatCon, all these conferences on the right, I think I roll my eyes at, Chris rolls his eyes at. We've been to a lot of these things. What NatCon is good at, and what I like about it is kind of a group of people who have been actually working at something in common for a while. And so I found that enjoyable. Go to the bar afterwards. There's a lot of people I actually like to talk to.
It's senior people there, and there's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I hate panels. Unpopular take. I can't stand them. I'm generally thinking, why couldn't I have read this hour-long presentation in 6 minutes? And it's not like you're Orson Welles. You're not adding to it by reading at.
This meeting could have been an email.
This meeting could have been an email. They actually had some good stuff.
That would be pretty good. Like I would probably
have a cigarette, some light jazz.
Yeah, in the background. All the
black and white, everything. But the energy there is unmistakable. It doesn't attract the same people you see at a lot of conferences. The total weirdos.
Yes.
Or even all the millions of interns looking to hook up with each other. It doesn't have that crowd. It has a much more serious take. And there was some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, I felt that's the good thing about it. The good thing about it is that there's serious people. Of course, there's lots of nerds and an academic angle to it. This is a
lot of dudes,
right-leaning conference.
A lot of dudes,
yes, a whole lot of guys. And there's a nerd fest aspect to it, but there's a seriousness to it as well. And they are people who were dedicated to reforming the right in a way that I think most people in our audience appreciate, in a way that is Trumpian, and they succeeded. And that was so it was great to see everyone and chat and catch up. And there's a seriousness about it that's different because, let's be honest, a lot of these events are more like shows. It's like a big happy show, and there's a lot of weirdos there. And
what was your favorite part about Seb Gorka's dinner speech?
The favorite part was actually not going. I didn't go to that one.
No,
sadly.
we had a great time though.
That's the only part I didn't go to. The rest of NatCon was great.
It was awesome.
I happened not to attend that dinner.
That's okay. Sometimes you can just do things. You can make choices. You can just do things. And I'm going to go out there and record as many voiceovers as I can today while my voice sounds like this. Apparently they're telling me I'll get just, good feedback from this. So I don't think so. Maybe I'm going to go up my estrogen levels now, but that's going to do it for us here in Washington, D.C. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you back from Dallas on Monday.